Welcome to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, coming to you from the Kearsarge SAU here in New London. Thanks for joining us as we continue to update you on COVID-19 adjustments and more. Yankee Chronicle will catch up on the ongoing building renovations proposal for Sunapee Elementary School. We'll hear from Scott Goulet about this year's Turkey Trot and Sunapee winter recreation activities. Elf Sheila Wallace will join us again to tell how we can help the Kearsarge Kids Christmas program. But first, a few words from the good folks that make your Yankee Chronicle possible. Please don't socially distance yourself from these businesses because they are an important part of our community's economic health. Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel. Earlier this year, the town of Sunapee turned down a proposal that would have built a new elementary school and improved other facilities. The need still exists for the elementary school. Let's hear what is now being proposed.
My company works with municipal and institutional clients to help make their existing buildings more efficient from an energy standpoint and also from a facility use standpoint. On this project, we partnered with Banwell architects who had a history in working in Sunapee to help look at the central school specifically.
It's an old building. There's just a lot more things we have to be diligent about. Whereas at the high school, you just kind of do a quick walkthrough and turn on the lights. It's a much newer building. Here, we're checking the fire sprinkler system, where we've had a number of issues with that, especially given that in a building this old, we want to make sure that's up and running. There's no leaks anywhere. Going into the COVID world, there's a lot more to this building in that we don't have a modern HVAC system. So we're going around room to room, checking small portable air purifying devices, checking the filter status on those, making sure they're running, doing a lot of extra cleaning, which is a challenge in a building this old. We are able to use much newer technology at the high school, bathroom machines that really expedite the process. You go and basically pressure wash the bathroom. In a building this old, we can't do that without destroying the bathroom in the process. So those are just some of the challenges we're hitting.
And so our company, EEI, has a track record in working with similar facilities to streamline efficiency and get better use out of the buildings. I think a good example of this is the Keene School District. So Keene similarly had a failed bond vote about 6 years ago that would have eliminated many of the neighborhood schools and consolidated to a single large elementary school. So the last 5 years, we've been working with the Keene elementary schools, one building at a time, to reduce their operating costs through getting them off of oil into high efficiency fuels. We've been going with better controls, adding ventilation to all the schools. LED lights has been a huge energy saver. When we walk through the Sunapee Central School, it really is mirror to those Keene projects.
There is an ancient exhaust system in a handful of the classrooms, the oldest part of the building, the 1928 section. It's you pull a chain, it opens a large damper, which draws air out. Not very efficient, and those shafts were basically being used as closets in most of the classrooms. We have a handful of rooms in the lower level where they made some effort to bring in unit ventilation systems, like portable ventilation systems. They are fairly noisy, though. They're localized. They're in those specific classrooms, and so unfortunately, even though there was some effort to bring some modern technology into the building, that's not utilized the way it should be.
There are also some things that jumped out at us. When you come up to the site, to get to the parking area, you have to cross what essentially is the corridor, the exterior corridor, where the students come out for playground and recess time, and also to get to their modular classrooms. So there's a constant flow of students right across the main drive. The students also have to leave the building to go to gym class and music class. So it's really not the most secure site with the amount of students that have to cross traffic areas as well as leave the secured main entrance. There were also some code issues that we noticed and some fire safety issues.
In terms of addressing safety, Mike alluded to the site safety issues. And currently, as was discussed, They're distributed between 3 buildings. So we were looking at a comprehensive approach to build an addition to satisfy the program that is currently being used by the modular and the Sherburne building down the hill. And so the addition would serve in that capacity. In looking at the deficiencies in the existing building and how to address those, from a security standpoint, currently there is no secured vestibule with an administration directly adjacent to it. Students or visitors are buzzed in from the 2nd floor, and typically on our schools we'll have a place where a controlled vestibule where somebody is directly buzzed into an administration area before they're admitted throughout the rest of the school, which is currently lacking. We also looked at life safety upgrades in terms of fire code. One example is this existing building, because it was built in the 20s, didn't address today's codes and has an internal stair that's currently doesn't have a fire rating around it.
The stairwell goes from basement to top floor without a break. With modern conventional construction, we really want to have a fire separation between each floor so that if there were to be a fire, for example, on the 1st floor, the students on the 2nd floor could safely egress to the outside. That doesn't exist in this school. If there were potentially a fire on a lower floor, it may be difficult for people on the 2nd floor to get down through that stairwell. So creating a fire safety barrier would be one of the critical things that could be accomplished if this project were to pass. The school board really hired EEI because I don't think they want to see another generation of Sunapee students go through this building without ventilation and without a building that meets all of the DOE recommended safety and health and security concerns for a modern school building. With that in mind, we've outlined 2 approaches for the board to consider. The first is a comprehensive project which will solve all of the building's near and long-term needs. It would eliminate the modular buildings, have a small addition that would allow all of the building's day-to-day services to be provided at the school.
This is the parking lot side where you enter from on School Street, coming up from this side. As you can see, our addition is from here over to this side. This is the elevator that was constructed in 1986 in the original building in the 1920s, and this portion was built in the 60s. And to explain some of the features of the addition, we're forced to look at the overall building and find a comprehensive approach to make sure that we're using it in the most efficient manner, which means potentially moving some of the program around to different areas of the building. And one example of that is that they have some challenges with their existing cafeteria and are unable to make deliveries because it's actually below grade. So we're proposing on moving the cafeteria into the addition and repurposing the old cafeteria as a media space. Some of the other features of the program are providing a new nurses suite that will meet today's new Department of Ed standards. It's currently undersized, and we're also designing in features to meet today's health crisis in terms of providing an isolation room that can directly exit to the exterior for student dismissal should the case arise. We also have, as I mentioned earlier, a new secured vestibule with an administration suite adjacent to that, and also providing additional classroom space on the 2nd floor in terms of a new music room, a new art room, additional classroom. And by doing so, we're able to open up additional space in the existing building to provide some additional square footage that they desperately need for some of their special education use. During the pandemic, the state put out guidelines that really recommended ventilating as much as possible. It's really hard to ventilate at all in this building. So as part of the solution, we decided to design rooftop units that would have energy recovery features that would both supply new fresh air and then use the exhausting air to preheat the incoming air so it's both energy efficient
and will bring the building up to current code. That would be our first most pressing issue in the building. If the comprehensive project is approved, it would bring everything into one house. It would have a central heating system that heats the entire campus as opposed to 3 separate heating systems that we have now. All of those systems are approaching the end of their useful life, which always raises a condition. Do we replace in kind and stay on oil, or do we look at alternative fuels? What we found is that in general, when looking in the fossil fuel industry, in a commercial standpoint, propane has been cheaper than oil, I believe 8 of the last 10 years. If I was going to go with a fossil fuel, I would lean toward a high efficiency propane system. We've installed similar systems in many buildings throughout New Hampshire, including most of the Keene schools, which have moved toward propane and gas systems. However, New Hampshire has a unique program which is designed to make wood fuel more cost competitive for buildings such as these. So the New Hampshire PUC has a one-time grant, which would be in the vicinity of $200,000 to $300,000 if this school were to use wood. In addition to that one-time grant, there is also a thermal rec program in which each year that the school uses wood heat as their primary fuel, they would be subsidized an additional $20 per million BTU, which could equate to $10,000 per year every year that the building uses wood heat. Again, the grant is what makes wood heat cost competitive with propane. If you were just to look at the straight cost, the propane systems would be somewhere around $400,000. The wood chips would be over $800,000. So on a simple basis, it would lead you to decide to go with propane. However, when you factor in the grant and the additional recs, it makes it very close decision between going with wood and propane. And then it becomes a decision of, does the community want to move toward renewable heat or not? And the grant makes that decision possible. If that project can't win the support of the public, we've also presented to the school board a targeted project that would just deal with the major current violations in the building, such as the lack of ventilation, the insecure main stairwell, and the end-of-life heating system. So the school board is currently considering whether to bring forward a comprehensive project, a targeted project, or perhaps both, and let the community decide what the needs are and what they'd be willing to support for the future of Sunapee Central School. So a question that does get brought up, and I think fairly, is why this project, why now? I would say the unique experience of 2020 has shown us the importance of having healthy school facilities, as well as created an economic opportunity where borrowing money is at all-time lows. I think I, like many other New Hampshire residents, have taken advantage of these historic interest rates to refinance my home. And what we're seeing on the municipal rates are lower than they've ever been in my lifetime. Currently, we are seeing lease rates on large municipal lease at under 3%, anywhere from 2.5 to 2.8. And I just recently saw Vermont Bond Bank is projecting their rates next year for 2.15% for 20-year debt. So we looked at a project in Vermont. In fact, the Springfield School District in Vermont did both their elementary schools in 2008. They borrowed at 4.5%. If they had borrowed now using today's interest rates, the cost for that borrowing would be $200,000 less per year in interest. So we are at historic lows on interest for borrowing for municipal projects. So the combined reason of low interest rates and the true need for this building to be brought up to modern standards really tells me that this project should be brought forward for consideration, if it's the board's will, in 2021 to take advantage of these low rates. In addition to the low interest rates, the state of New Hampshire has instituted building aid, and we've been working with the Sunapee School District to apply for building aid, which could potentially offset the cost of this project by 25%. So that's another unique opportunity. There had been no building aid for more than a decade, and now we have the opportunity to competitively apply this project for building aid. Like anything else, building aid or federal funding isn't a guarantee. What we do know is that we've been able to obtain reasonable prices to do this project in the summer of 2021 and historically low interest rates to take advantage of. So all that should be considered when voters in Sunapee decide if this project is worthy of moving forward.
Thank you. How we fund our schools seems to be the real culprit here. What's a town to do? It may not solve the funding problem, but Sunapee is planning again their annual turkey trot. We'll hear from Rec Director Scott Goulet about the turkey trot and other winter activities the town is hosting. First, let's hear the messages from a friendly group of businesses that make our show possible. Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel. Let's now hear about what's going on in Sunapee this winter.
So this year marks the 14th annual Lake Sunapee Turkey Trot 5K. It's a run-walk event, fundraiser for Sunapee Recreation Department, and 2020 certainly is an interesting year. We are doing the race live and in person with some COVID modifications, of course. We're going to have limited registration. We're doing it online only, sunapeeturkeytrot.com. The bib pickup at the livery for the most part will be done with the big barn doors open, so we don't have people coming in. As far as the race is concerned, we've limited the field of those that can register. Normally we get between 800 to 1,000, but we're really maxing it at 500. Because we want to make sure people have enough place to spread out and be safe. We're also going to have different waves, a staggered start based on everybody's anticipated time it would take them to complete the course. We'll set up into different waves of people and stagger them. We'll also probably have them wear masks, to a certain point where they can start to spread out, probably to the bottom of Burthaven Hill. By that point, things are spread out a little bit, where people can run safely and feel more comfortable. And we won't be doing a chicken run. That's a little fun kids event that we do prior to the race, so we won't be doing that this year. We went back and forth about doing live or virtual, and we really feel we can do it safely. Working with the guys at Millennium Racing, who did the triathlon from the State Beach about a month ago, and they're on the governor's task force. So they've given us some strategies on how to make sure we can do a safe live race. So we're feeling very good about it. This is a great course. It's a 5K. So it starts out on River Road, it comes onto Lake Ave, and the highlight in good ways and bad is Burthaven Hill. So you run up the hill and then run down Burthaven, and after that you back onto Lake Ave, and it's some nice rolling hills, very scenic, overlooking Lake Sunapee. So once you get the hill out of the way, it's quite enjoyable to run it. Most people can do it within 15 to 25 minutes, and if you're walking at a pretty good pace, you should complete it in 35 to 45 minutes and then be on your way for a wonderful Thanksgiving feast. So for any updates, if you could visit our Facebook page, we do weekly updates, if not more frequent, depending on the upcoming activities. So Facebook for Sunapee Recreation Department, as well as our Instagram page. Reach out to me. My name is Scott Blewett, Sunapee Recreation Director, and of course our Facebook page and Instagram pages.
Thanks, Scott. The turkey trot may be just the thing to prepare for the limited attendance turkey dinner. When we come back, Elf Sheila Wallace will tell us about the Kearsarge Kids Christmas program. But first, let's check out these great businesses that help your Yankee Chronicle come to you. Welcome back to your Yankee Chronicle. I'm Abby Peel, your host. The Lake Sunapee Region VNA and Hospice is celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. One of their wonderful programs is the Kearsarge Kids Christmas Program. Let's hear more about it.
If a family is wishing to apply for services, they first need to contact the school nurse at their children's school or the welfare officer in the town in which they live. They fill out this form and then they return it to the nurse or the welfare officer. These people make a determination that yes, there is a need. They are a family in need, and they pass the forms on to the VNA. The elves get together at this point and we assign them a family that will be their sponsor. What they do is go out and shop for Christmas presents for the children. Each form has an area that they parents list what a child might need. It could be a jacket, it could be boots, it could be a skirt, it could be a sweatshirt. It's amazing that the things that children do need. And plus one or two little wish items, a toy for the child. Legos, books, dolls, trucks, craft items for girls to make things. So then the sponsors go out, they have a wonderful time shopping. I sometimes think the sponsors have more fun than anybody else for this. They wrap the gifts and then they deliver them to the Tracy Memorial Library in New London on the first Saturday in December. On Sunday morning, the recipient families come and pick up their packages. Last year, we were able to give each family, in addition to Christmas gifts, a gift certificate to a local grocery store to help out with something during the Christmas season for their foods. That room was filled to capacity. There was no extra room to move around, and it was so wonderful. You watch the expressions on the donors, the sponsors' family when they come in. They're so proud of what they have done, the shopping that they've done, you know, they beam, and then you see it on the families that pick up the packages the next. That's all for us, you know, it's just amazing. I would encourage anyone that is watching today and thinking about doing something special for someone at Christmas time to go out and buy a gift card, to make a financial donation. You will be really happy you did. You will feel so good inside, believe me. There is an elf line that's available to people to call if you have any questions about the program, if you're not sure where to send a donation or you know what the guidelines are. So I personally monitor that phone line every single day and return any messages that are left. And I just enjoy talking to the people. It's really fun. We have advertising in the Kearsarge Shopper and also in the Intertown, so you might keep your eyes peeled for that. Again, we hope you will consider, you know, being a part of our program and in making your Christmas season a little bit better as well.
Thank you, Elf Sheila. It's still not too late to get involved in making a Merry Christmas for some kids that might not have one. Join me next week at the same time for another Yankee Chronicle as we come to you from Ledyard Bank and Trust. We'll hear more about Lung Cancer Awareness Month from Gail Matthews, another survivor. David Cheeves of the Area Choir Christmas Concert will tell us about their COVID-19 adjusted plan for this year's presentation. And don't miss our Game of the Week, Sunday and Monday at noon and 5 p.m. with football as the Blackbirds of Keene visit the Raiders of Lebanon over the air, on cable, or on our website. All our programs are available anytime on demand at ycnnow.com. Other WYCX programming includes Outside Television's original shows featuring the most exciting extreme sports, from rock climbing, biking, water sports, and of course skiing. Check them out today. I'm Abby Peel. Join us again next week at the same time for another We're All in This Together edition of Yankee Chronicle. Be safe, everyone.